3 years of economic stagnation has severely impacted China's economy. Even major cities like Beijing and Shanghai are now experiencing signs of economic downturn. Malls have seen significantly fewer visitors, and the streets are eerily quiet. The state of the Chinese economy is clear for everyone to see. No one feels the impact more profoundly than the Chinese citizens themselves. Employment opportunities have plummeted, prices have soared, yet wages are shrinking. The diminishing purchasing power of consumers makes it increasingly challenging for businesses to survive. I'm at my wit's end. Today, the combined revenue from mine and my husband's 2 stores amounted to just 139 yuan, $19. My son's medical expenses were 106 yuan, and groceries cost 53 yuan. This means that both our shops are operating at a loss this year. How are we expected to run this business? I have a 20,000 yuan credit card bill due at the end of the month, rent to pay, and debts to settle. The previous 2 years were tough for brick-and-mortar stores due to the pandemic, but this year, even without the pandemic, foot traffic in physical stores is even less, almost as if people have disappeared. We're open for over 10 hours a day, but barely anyone walks in. To whom should we sell? None of us are doing business. Not me, not you, nor any of our neighbors. It seems like the whole marketplace is in agreement, which somewhat balances the distress we feel. It's already 3 p.m. and no store in our area has opened its doors. Since morning, not even 20 customers have visited. Only one customer entered my store today, walked in through the left door, and left through the right. Another day is almost over. How are we supposed to continue this business? Today, I visited the well-known super brand mall situated in Lujiazui's prime location. I had read online about malls faring poorly, and though I thought I was prepared, the reality was worse than I expected. I remember it being crowded during my previous visits, but now, except for stores like Nike and Uniqlo, most of the other outlets have shut down. After speaking with store owners in Shanghai's Yuyuan Bazaar, it's evident that business this year has been tough. Once a bustling hotspot where many prospered, it's now an echo of its former self due to the pandemic. Although the shops are renowned, foot traffic has dwindled significantly. Despite today being a Saturday and already 10 a.m., there are hardly any visitors. It's evident that consumers are now more cautious, perhaps due to tighter budgets.
Currently, I'm at the Full U Mansion near Yuyuan. Many small stores are shuttered, with hardly any patrons. In the past, securing a spot in the commodities market here was highly competitive. Now the scene is desolate. There used to be massive crowds, but now vacant shops are the majority. It's truly dismal.
In the past 6 months, the Chinese public has been numbed with a slew of significant events. The anticipated economic collapse is no longer just a forecast, but a present reality. Shanghai, often seen as the star of China's economy, has experienced a notable shift. Before the pandemic, the average wait time for taxis was about half an hour, and most restaurants and bars were bustling with no vacant seats. Now, taxis are available within 5 minutes, and there's little to no need to book restaurants and bars in advance. A common refrain from many restaurant owners is, business isn't what it used to be. Middle-class citizens in Shanghai observe a considerable amount of closed shops and a bleak market. Even traveling has been reduced to budget tourism. Mr. Wang, who owns several properties in Shanghai, spoke to foreign media on September 25th, noting that most storefronts, especially in bustling areas, are now closed. Malls that were massively developed a few years ago in medium-grade locations are largely shuttered, with only 2 or 3 stores remaining open. The department store below New World Mall has scarcely any visitors. Mr. Wang further pointed out that many small shops near Shanghai's railway station have closed down. These small businesses, he mentioned, were owned by locals, while the employees were mostly young people from other regions. He stated, quote, "The market is in utter disarray. I've never seen Shanghai like this. Neither luxury, mid-tier, nor low-end businesses are thriving." Previously, storefronts in Fengshan district were in high demand, but now they are struggling to find renters. The overarching sentiment is that the common people don't have money. Public information indicates that the renowned Pacific department store in Xuhui, Shanghai, closed at the end of August. Having been in operation for 30 years and spanning nearly 30,000 square meters, this marks a significant shift. Before this, Pacific department stores on Huaihai Road and the so-called shops that never sleep have also closed. Swedish furniture brand IKEA announced in July that it would end its operations in Shanghai by the end of 2023. Last year in April and July, IKEA also closed 2 physical stores, one in Guiyang and another in Yangpu, Shanghai. The economic downturn isn't limited to Shanghai. China's capital, Beijing, faces a similar scenario. Taking Beijing's supermarkets as an example, Li Hua, familiar with both Beijing and other cities in Hebei, noted the evident economic stagnation in Beijing. Streets near Wukesong in Beijing, close to West Chang'an Street and heading toward the Central Organization Department, once bustling, have seen a sharp decrease in the number of shops since July. Previously, shopping nearby required just 1 subway stop, but now it requires 2 or even 3 stops. For larger supermarkets or specific items, one has to travel 3 kilometers by e-bike. According to Li Hua's observations, there are fewer than 10 foreign supermarkets left in Beijing, most of which have closed. The last of French Carrefour stores in Beijing have been acquired, leaving no more Carrefour outlets in the city, while Walmart is barely hanging on. Before this, Carrefour's largest store in Beijing and the 3rd largest in the country in Shuangjing had closed. Carrefour's outlets in Guangzhou and Shenzhen have all been shuttered, and the remaining 5 in Shanghai are scantily stocked. Official data shows that Walmart has closed over 60 stores in mainland China in the past 3 years. Li Hua lamented the severity of the economic downturn, noting that government officials have been reluctant to provide extensive explanations. The general public lacks the capacity to face this dire situation. Quote, "People's pockets are empty," he said, "and there aren't many job positions available for companies." Beijing's Zhongguancun area stands noticeably deserted. After enduring 3 years of pandemic impacts and amidst China's economic recovery efforts, Zhongguancun, a hub for the tech industry and entrepreneurs, has seen many companies close due to financial hardship. This has led to a significant number of empty offices and shops in the area. Even the surviving businesses have shifted from aggressive financing and marketing strategies to a more pragmatic approach, focusing on in-depth hard tech research. Incomplete data from the Chinese tech website IT Orange reveals that in 2022 alone, 3,378 new economy businesses declared bankruptcy. Though this number is a third less than that of 2021, over 10,000 companies have gone under during the 3-year pandemic period from 2020 to 2022. Despite the Chinese government introducing a range of economic stimulus measures during the pandemic, a considerable number of businesses have gone into bankruptcy liquidation. The top 10 new economy industries most affected by closures in 2022 are e-commerce, business services, education, media and entertainment, local lifestyle services, finance, traditional manufacturing, social networking, healthcare, and software tools. On September 21st, Mr. Deng, a real estate service consultant from Zhonglong City, shared on social media that office space rents in Beijing have plummeted to prices seen a decade ago, with barely any takers. He stated that few are starting companies now, and even fewer are venturing into entrepreneurship. Many businesses are either backing out of leases or shutting down. However, the economic data released for August, slightly more stable than July, led the Chinese state media to cheerfully declare that the Chinese economy has bottomed out. So is the Chinese economy genuinely seeing the first light of dawn? On September 15th, the Chinese National Bureau of Statistics released major economic indicators for August. The national industrial output increased by 4.5% year-on-year, accelerating by 0.8 percentage points from July. Retail sales of consumer goods rose by 4.6% year-on-year, speeding up by 2.1 percentage points from the previous month. Fixed asset investment increased by 3.2% from January to August. The Consumer Price Index, Producer Price Index, and Purchasing Managers Index remain lackluster. China's official statistics provide only a general trend, and some, like urban registered unemployment rates, offer limited practical value. It's also worth noting the Chinese government's long-standing approach of bolstering short-term economic figures through inefficient government investments. A report from Taiwan's central bank on September 26 stated that China's economic recovery is lagging behind expectations. The demographic dividend is disappearing, and there is a trend of reduced labor supply, coupled with a pandemic affecting the labor supply and demand structure. The labor force and unemployment numbers haven't returned to pre-pandemic levels. The report mentioned that after pandemic lockdowns, China's private consumption has not seen a strong rebound. Consumer confidence has dropped, nearing levels seen when strict zero-COVID policies were in place. The report further warned of the younger population's higher consumption tendencies. Consequently, severe youth unemployment might hinder consumption recovery, limiting domestic demand growth. Presently, consumer spending in China remains weak. If confidence in the economic outlook doesn't recover, further declines in consumer spending might trigger a deflationary spiral. Since its reform and opening up, China, the world's second-largest economy, has been surging forward. So why has there been a sudden and steep decline in recent years? Paul Krugman, Nobel laureate in economics, wrote in the New York Times in August, expressing growing concerns that China might have fallen into the middle-income trap. This phenomenon refers to many countries experiencing difficulties in sustaining rapid growth once they reach a middle-level income. On September 25th, Mr. Chen Bozhi, the honorary chairman of a Taiwanese think tank, in an exclusive interview with Central News Agency, openly voiced his pessimism about China's economic future. Chen stated that the bubble-like growth of China's economy had attracted numerous investors over decades. While this high-speed growth bubble hadn't burst for many years, it might be reaching its limit now. Chen's analysis suggests that China previously leveraged its low wages, lax labor conditions, and a vast population to achieve considerable growth. However, due to the middle-income dilemma, it has lost its initial rapid economic momentum. This slowdown is compounded by competition from even lower-cost countries and technological sanctions from the West. Another alarming trend is China's official youth unemployment rate surpassing 20%. Chen believes the actual figure might be even higher. Such statistics not only indicate poor current and future economic prospects, but could also lead to significant social and political unrest. Chen pointed out that the rising unemployment and declining economic growth rates in China have led to growing despair among the youth. Investors, both domestic and international, are also disillusioned due to the low growth rate and global circumstances. President Xi Jinping's aspiration to centralize power has disappointed many who yearn for freedom, democracy, or those seeking power themselves. Loss of hope is fast becoming China's most significant issue. China's youth unemployment situation has also raised widespread concerns internationally. In August of this year, China released shocking data. Among Chinese citizens aged 16 to 24, the urban unemployment rate hit a record 21.3%. The government quickly decided to halt the publication of the statistic. The current numbers are alarmingly high, roughly on par with youth unemployment rates in the Middle East right before the Arab Spring. On September 29th, Mr. Li Hengqing, director of the Washington-based Institute for Information and Strategy, shared his concerns with Radio Free Asia. He said that if the economic downturn continues, it might trigger large-scale civic unrest. The Chinese Communist Party is acutely aware that educated, unemployed youths in large cities have the potential to challenge its authority. After all, the party itself was born out of similar circumstances. For decades, its legitimacy has relied on economic growth and improved living standards, goals that are now teetering on the brink. Instead of creating new jobs and opportunities to address young people's discontent, the aging leadership has been ramping up oppression as a primary response to the worsening economic crisis. The tug-of-war between increasingly disgruntled young people and a ruthless, insecure regime will not only determine China's political trajectory, but also its economic future.